The Yankees are running out of time. Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees. Well, the Yankees suffer another season-ending injury, this time a Yankee you care about in Jose Trevino, out with a hurt wrist, so we're going to kind of look into that as, of course, we're getting right now on the cusp of the trade deadline. Of course, now that makes Cashman's job even tougher to improve this team, where now he's going to look for a catcher. So we'll get into all that, as well as the Yankees get a familiar face back in Andy Pettitte. With his Yankee mojo resume, bring any help to this 2023 team. I'll do a little analysis of that, as well as look at the team in general. Some players doing a little bit better since Sean Casey has taken the reins as the hitting coach, and of course your fan favorite, the stuff that you love. Me, something we introduced this season of reading tweets. Now this was going to be right after the Royals series, of course. The Yankees swept the lowly Royals at home there, and kind of the Yankee organization went over the top a little bit. I looked at their Twitter account, and of course you figure they put out all postings and stuff, but they also put like what they call a hype video to kind of like summarize the weekend sweep against like one of the worst teams in baseball. So a lot of fans reacted to that. So some funny, some discouraging, but of course I'll read some of those tweets there, and I'll comment and give my take on that. So we'll get into all that great stuff, but before we do, make sure, as always, you should be subscribing to the Section 420 Talkin Yankees podcast. So there's an audio version of the show where you get wrap-up reports like after the Royal Series. You get my little 2 cents in on that, and not have to wait a week or two later just to me to even chime in about that, which I probably wanted because a couple of weeks ago. But make sure be a subscriber of the audio podcast. Wherever you get your podcast, look for Section 420 Talkin Yankees, and of course check out the other social media and online handles, all stuff. Of course on Facebook, Section 420 Talkin Yankees. There have been seeing the followers and likes go increasing there, so that's a good thing. Also on Instagram, Section 420 Talkin Yankees, and last but not least, the YouTube channel. You want to be there as well, Section 420 Talkin Yankees. Make sure to subscribe and get notified when new episodes come up. Now, in the last episode, of course, we discussed Josh Donaldson being done for the rest of the year with the partial tear in the calf. I don't even think they really fully diagnosed it, but they put him on the 60-day IL list. So again, he's pretty much done for the season, and most fans were happy with that. But now this is an injury that most fans would not want in Jose Trevino, even though he's not having a really good season. But again, someone that the fans took a liking to last season. Turns out now he's going to be done for the rest of the year. Will need season-ending surgery on his right wrist. There's been a tear there now. According to him, this is an injury he's had since spring training. Again, it's on his right hand, so it's on, it's no problem catching the ball. But I guess as a right-handed hitter, that's your kind of back power hand. If you weaken there, obviously it's going to show up in the results in the offense, and kind of makes sense because Jose Trevino this season has not looked like the hit he was last season. So you figure something might be wrong now. A couple of these guys like this, maybe been disappointed with DJ, been disappointed with Stan. A couple of these guys are hitting well, so you figure, are they hurt? Is it something, are they battling injuries that we don't know about? Well, I guess that was the case with Jose Trevino, and I guess he tried to play through it, and just got to a point where they just had to shut him down and have the surgery, just try to get him back next year as soon as possible, versus having played through this, be 1/3 of himself, and then having surgery then, where then you're missing a chunk of next season. So it all makes sense. And again, remember Jose Trevino from last season? He was pretty good for the Yankees. Cashman got him out of nowhere for Albert Abreu, and he comes into the Yankees and he becomes an all-star. I'm not saying he was a great hitter, like a 300 hitter, but he was very good for the Yankees. A lot of clutch hits, a lot of big hits. Remember there's some of those extra inning games. When the Yankees used to be able to win in extra innings, they haven't been able to do that in 2023. But when they were doing that last season, that was mainly him. He'll get a lot of big hits, a lot of big doubles, and this season just hasn't been there. He'll bop an occasional home run, but has not looked like himself. And in fact, he got to the point where even Higgy had a higher batting average than him, which is like, wow, you got to be really bad if Higgy's hitting better with you. So he's done for the season. Now, again, this is something now that's going to be on Brian Cashman's lap as he's going into the trade deadline. We'll kind of talk about this a little bit later in the episode, but obviously Cashman's probably looking at left field. Maybe probably looking at some bullpen relief, maybe looking at a third baseman. But now on top of that, he possibly now has to look at a catcher, because right now it looks like the Yankees are going to go with Higgy and Ben Rovette, unless Cashman does bring someone in. I'm okay if they stay with that way. Now, we saw a very small sampling of Rovette. And remember, looking back at that Cincinnati series down there, he was pretty impressive. And plus the fact that he's a left-handed bat, something that the Yankee lineup needs. Again, the Yankees are very right-handed happy there. So even if you add Ben, in the bottom of the lineup, this is a left-handed bat. This gives the Yankees a little different look, different look for the pitcher there. I think it's beneficial there. But, even Rovette was hitting well before the Yankees brought him up the first time. Is he going to be able, how is he going to perform in 50 games, We don't know that. So we only got him in a small sampling size. It was okay, but not really to the point where you're fully confident in him. So again, you might be wanting to look at bring someone in here. Now, probably one of the best catching prospects or catching trade candidates out there will be Elias Diaz, who the Yankees just saw recently from the Colorado series there. He's on the contract now. He's got 1 more year left on the deal for next year. Only $6 million, so it's not a ton of money. And he's 32 years old, so I say he's kind of over the hill there. For a catcher, I know catchers maybe age a little bit differently because take a beating on the body. But if you're 32, 33, it's still not terrible. And again, he's only making $6 million there. But the most important part with him, he actually hits well. He's at least at this moment hitting .309 with 6 home runs and 29 RBIs. Again, to bring a 300 hitter to the Yankee lineup, of course, would be fantastic because again, the team average right now is like somewhere in the dumps. Even though some guys have been proven a little bit later, so that's someone the Yankees might want to bring in there. Of course, Colorado's probably going to want some. Since he's the top catching prospect candidate out there to be traded for, Colorado's probably going to want something significant back there. So I don't know what Cashman's willing to give. And of course, you're hearing rumblings out there that Hal Steinbrenner is trying desperately to again stay under the luxury tax there. So I'm not sure if he wants to bring in a guy that's going to make $6 million next year. I don't like that. So I don't really see him coming in there. I just see more that maybe just Cashman, holds the fort down, stays with Higgins and Rovette there for the rest of the way, and just maybe if they bring in a big name, if they're going to use assets to trade for someone, it'd be more like to get a big name outfielder versus bringing someone as a catcher there. So if I had to just decide between the two, more than likely it's going to be Higgins Rovette for the rest of the way. So if the Yankees can't really bring, sort of great player or turn someone around to, jumpstart this team, I guess maybe the Yankees figured maybe bring back some old familiar faces from Yankee past, from successful Yankee teams, maybe help rejuvenize this team. So they've now announced that Andy Pettitte will be joining the team as a special pitching advisor. Don't really get it that much, but again, I was a fan of Andy Pettitte. I like him, and so if him around the team can only help, can't hurt. Don't really fully understand it. I mean, you have a pitching coach in Matt Blake, so is that going to be a situation where like Blake's going to feel like hey, this guy's undercutting me a little bit? He's talked to my guys. Is he telling them something different I'm going to give? So I don't really know exactly how this works, but really his role is to sort of prepare the Yankees for October because, as we know, Pettitte with the most October wins there, so again, very successful as an October pitcher for the New York Yankees, which, okay, again, it all makes sense. I'm not against it. Don't really just see the point of it, but nevertheless, he will be part of the team for the rest of the way. Now, he's not going to be with the team full-time, so as an advisor, he might be at some of the road games. He also might be at some of the Yankee games, but this just depends on his travel schedule, so I guess the Yankees are going to be very lenient for him just to work around his schedule, what he wants to do with his family, and then maybe once in a while pop around, maybe if the Yankees are playing Texas or something, or playing in Houston, maybe he'll drop in, just take a short plane ride from Louisiana or something like that. So again, happy to have him around, and Cole's had some conversation with him already, and Cole was probably a small kid in the stands, with his little sign when Pettitte was pitching, so he kind of, for him it's probably a cool experience. Pettitte's also chat a little bit with Luis Severino, so again, he can only add to the team, doesn't hurt. I just don't really, again, understand it fully, but I just think it's more just kind of throwing something as as a quick solution on this. Just hey, bring Pettitte there. Man, fans will like this. It'll be cool. Kind of be happy there. I just don't see the substance of it. But nevertheless, he'll be around the team. So again, it can only hurt. I mean, it can only help. It's not going to hurt. And of course, new hitting coach Sean Casey, who's been here, and this is kind of interesting. I don't know if this is the front office, throwing things at Boone in a way. It's we're bringing an outside guy here, and then we're bringing Pettitte from the past here, and kind of is that I don't know if that's sending a message to Boone like that. Nevertheless, but Boone's putting a good face on and a good smile like that. Again, he says, "Great, I love that man here. I like Sean Casey here." Now, as for Sean Casey himself. Again, only been here a couple of weeks there, so you can't really say, oh my God, things haven't changed greatly. Get rid of him. He was terrible. But we have seen some incremental, I guess some positives from the Yankees. Now Stanton, who, again, he looked like he came alive a little bit in that Cubs series before they even made the switch to Sean Casey, so can't really say Sean Casey had that big of a difference. But of course, Stanton did have a good series there in Colorado, even though it was a disappointing one for the Yankees, hitting a couple of home runs there. And then, of course, we've seen, Stanton's bat just come alive a little bit more lately. And, of course, Rizzo as well, who was in a terrible slump. Again, he was a 45-game slump without a home run. And then we look at that Royal series there where he finally broke out of in that big game. The last one we went 4 for 4. They noticed both with Stan and Rizzo a little, you probably saw this online, they bent their knee back a little bit compared to how they've been hitting about a month or two ago. And again, they figured, is that a mechanism that Sean Casey came through to help them out? possibly. But again, if that is great. But again, Sean Case is definitely he's basically going to be judged if this team gets to the playoffs, how they hit in the playoffs, because again, that's been their problem. Like bringing in Andy Pettitte, that's great and all, but Yankee pitching really hasn't been the problem in the postseason. It's just been the hitting. The hitting's been the problem in the postseason. So if the Yankees hit well in the postseason, that's where people are going to judge Casey whether this was a good move or not. And the way this season has unraveled for the Yankees, again, disappointing, especially during the time that Judge has been out with the hurt toe. But the Yankees really haven't totally disappeared off the AL East map. Again, a couple times they hit there in last place, then go back to fourth place, then go back to fifth place. And of course, we've seen some flip-flopping at the top there with Baltimore and Tampa now flip-flopping first and second place there. So the Yankees have, for all the faults, managed to hang around a little bit, usually around 8.5, 9 games out. So it kind of puts Cashman in a bad spot. So I think if the Yankees were like 12 games or more out, they'd be more likely to either be sellers or just don't do anything. But the fact that they're kind of just right there, and in fact, there's only about 3 or 4 games out of one of those wild card spots, it kind of forces Cashman hand to have to go for it. So more than likely, the Yankees are going to be aggressive, make some moves. Now, as I mentioned in the previous episode, I don't think you're seeing Ohtani. You're not going to see like Juan Soto. But, if you remember how Cashman was pretty stealthy last season, now a lot of these moves ended up flopping. But, he did go around the number of different teams and brought in a number of different guys. Of course, remember Frankie Montas and Lou Trevino from the A's, getting them in, getting Benintendi from the Royals, getting Scott Efros from the Cubs. So, Cashman went around, made the moves there. So, if there are moves to be made during this trade year, again, I would expect something similar like that, more stealthy moves and maybe smaller names that you're not expecting. Because Cashman's probably going to tweak a few things, bring a few guys in here, but it's not going to be any big names. It's going to be again more stealthy type moves. So if you want to kind of look at this team, again, where most likely you're going to see a move happen, you can kind of go around the horn. I don't think they're going to do anything with first base with Rizzo. Second base, technically have 2 people in Gleyber and DJ, and again, Gleyber could have some trade value, but I just don't think they're going to move him. In fact, he's kind of turning, with Judge out in the past couple of weeks, he's actually turning one of the Yankees' better hitters right now, so I don't see a move there. Of course, Volpe, he's the future, and you're just not going to move him there unless he's part of some bigger package to bring a big name in here. Other than that, I don't see them making a move there. So third base now, so far for third base, DJ's been holding on the fourth there as well as sharing some time with Peraza, but you don't really have a steady kind of everyday third baseman. So I would say third base. If anything, that could be a situation where maybe Cashman looks to bring someone in, again, everyday type first baseman, and kind of flip-flop DJ a little bit, give him a little time at first base, give him a little time at second base as well, and have a full-time third baseman. So third base is definitely one spot I could see Cashman bringing someone in here. And of course, I mentioned at the top with Jose Trevino gone for the season, that's maybe catching position. Again, I don't think it'll be something like Diaz is going to cost a lot, but could he find some backup on some other team or just some kind of halfway type of starter that we not even think of? He bring in absolutely. So I'll say third base, catcher, that would be a second spot I could see Cashman bringing in. And of course, mentioned before, left field, that's going to be definitely a spot the Yankees are going to be looking at. And of course, the big name everyone wants is Cody Bellinger with the Cubs right now, and he just seems the most appealing. Would be a great fit for the Yankees for a very similar reason. Kind of broke that down in the last episode, and he kind of seemed like he's found his way a little bit with the Cubs. On his way out with the Dodgers wasn't that great, but again, he seemed like he's rejuvenated himself with the Cubs. And again, left-handed hitter in Yankee Stadium, playing left field. I can't spell that anymore, so that would be perfect. And then last but not least, I don't think they'll do anything with the starting rotation, but bullpen help, I could definitely see that there. Clay Holmes overall has been okay, but I just don't think they're fully confident in him. So could they want to bring in a closer? Possibly. And even Michael King, who again has been pretty stable for the Yankees lately, has been a little hittable. So I would not be shocked to try to bring in 1 or 2 bullpen hands in there. The only one you really always kind of depend on is Wandy Peralta, but Holmes has been mostly okay. King's been touched up a little bit. Canely, for the most part, been okay, but of late, okay, he's also been a little sloppy. So the Yankees could use a little boost in the bullpen there. So the bullpen, I guess, would be the fourth move I would see the Yankees make. So I would say third base, catcher, left field, and some bullpen help. That would be the 4 spots. I don't see them bringing another starter right now because, again, Nestor is working his way back. You still have, Schmidt, you have Herman. Not saying they're great and stupendous, but I just don't think you're looking to move them unless, again, they're part of some bigger deal to bring a big name in here. But, again, I don't see that happening. And, of course, you have Cole, you have Severino. Looks like he's straightened him out himself a little bit since the All-Star break. And Rendon, who, again, kind of probably maybe the lowest point of this Yankee season so far was a game out in Los Angeles where he got roughed up for his second time in a row, and of course blew the kisses to the fan, got booed. It's a bad look all around. But still, he's your guy. He's someone you're depending on. So he's in the. So I just the Yankees are pretty much fill in the starting rotation there. So I don't see any tweaking with the starters, but I could see them trying to get some bullpen help. And we'll get through some of this news, but make sure you stay till the end of the episode. Again, we'll read kind of the fan tweets, or now they're called X's, whatever you want to call them. Kind of, lambasting the Yankee organization after that World Series. And then during that World Series, we did see actually Judge taking some batting practice, and there was actually a simulated game between Loizaga and Judge. And Loizaga is getting a bullpen arm that's going to come back to the Yankees. Remember, he had the little procedure to take out some bone spurs from his elbow. But again, until he's back and healthy and executing pitches, I don't know if someone you could sort of count on, but he's technically someone who's coming in. So in a way, it's a trade in a way, because you're kind of getting someone you haven't had in a couple of months. But again, we don't know how effective it's going to be. But of course, helpful for the Yankees. But I still think the Yankees will look to bring in someone who's actually been pitching for the most of the season and has been successful in getting outs, and someone you could depend on, versus a guy coming back from an injury, which is kind of flip a coin. You're not sure how it's going to be. And of course, with Judge, we still don't know what timetable he's looking at. Probably looking at sometime in August. Now, the team has announced that when he does come back, he's going to pretty much be a DH. So you kind of expect that. They don't want the pressure of him running around the outfield and putting more pain on the toe. But again, so far they've reported no setbacks with him, so that's good news. And so that's the bat you're going to bring in. But how effective Judge is going to be, I don't know. I mean, again, obviously 80% of Judge is probably best whatever Yankees are going to throw out there, better than McKinney or Bowers or Calhoun. But still, you kind of want Judge to be at 100%. But the fact that he can't play the field, that kind of tells you he's not going to be 100% of the time. But let's just see what he could do there at the plate. Now, of course, the Mets, they're kind of in the same boat with the Yankees, but probably in a different place, that they're probably more likely to be sellers than the Yankees. Now, the Yankees might want to look at them and say, hey, would they be willing to do a crosstown trade? I don't see that whatsoever. Again, you've heard word that Matt Scherzer has put out there that he would waive his no trade clause to go elsewhere, but I don't think he's looking at to go to the Yankees. And honestly, I don't think I want him. I know he's a good pitcher, and he'd probably be a step up from Severino as like a number 2 starter there, but it just seems like he's been getting toasted lately, and he always just seems like to always have like a late season injury. Like he'll be there for October, but August and September he's always hurt with a forearm or something like that. So I just wouldn't want to bring this guy in there. And generally, just the whole feel from the whole thing the past 2 seasons with him, I just don't think he seems comfortable and happy in New York. So he's not someone I want the Yankees to consider. Other than that, what could they use? Obviously been hearing some names, so like Jeff McNeil, who a couple of seasons ago, was a batting champion for them, and he's not having a great season right now, but he's still relatively young, only 32 years old. But I just don't see the Yankees doing crosstown trade like that deal during the trade deadline. So that's probably out. Other than that, I'm not sure who the Mets have that the Yankees really would want. And of course, the Mets traded the third baseman a couple of weeks ago, already shipped him out. So I just don't think, there's really no one the Mets Yankees want to take. So I don't see it happening. Who the Yankees could go after? Again, they're probably going to target teams that are probably pretty much out of it or in middle or last place. So you have a team like the Rockies, who I mentioned with Diaz, maybe with Pittsburgh, they might try to pick off someone there. The Cardinals, who are not having a good season now. Kind of be ironic if they kind of trade to get Jordan Montgomery back, but I just don't see that happen because I mentioned before, I just don't think the Yankees need a starter, but that would be kind of humorous from there. Maybe trade Bader back, hey, let's redo this trade, but I don't see that happening. Could also go to a team like the Cubs, like I mentioned before, Bellinger, who, again, the Cubs not having a good season, so they would be looking to trade Bellinger. So that's probably where Cashman is going to target. I don't think, an American League team that's in it is going to be looking to help the Yankees. So again, the Yankees probably have to go to these National League teams, or a team like how they went last season with Oakland. Again, a terrible team that's in last place. Those are the teams that Cashman is going to try to target to get talent. So even though there's been a little tumultuous around the Yankee land, but they have been, I guess for some positive news, they have been getting jiggy with it lately. So, of course, you saw that, at the latest Drake concert at MSG, both Giancarlo Stanton and Judge walked out on him. It was almost like a wrestling match. It was kind of weird, like those bodyguards. They kind of walked him to the stage and then peeled off. So, kind of weird there. And, of course, with Anthony Rizzo, seemed like he turned the season around by, changing his walk-up music to some Taylor Swift song. Again, in that game, he went 4 for 4 and snapped his, homeless streak there. Again, does that make a difference? But you can see with Judge, I mean, this was part of the reason he probably liked, he wanted to stay here in New York. I mean, you just don't get those moments, even though San Francisco is a big city there, but it's just not the same. You're a Giant. But of course, it would have been cool that both, Judge and Stanton actually playing well and contributing, and then you walk out with them. That would have been a bigger pop. But nevertheless, this is part of the reason why Judge wanted to be here. And as for, Anthony Rizzo with the new Taylor Swift song, you could give her the credit, or you could credit Sean Casey. I don't know, but I think more finally this, Rizzo just finally snapped out of it. So as promised, I'm going to read the fan. Now we're going to call them tweets or X's. We still don't know yet, but nevertheless, it was the reaction. Again, this was after the home series against the Royals that the Yankees swept. And just to put you in the mind frame of it, obviously they were terrible in that road trip, lost 2 out of 3 to Colorado, absolutely got embarrassed out in Los Angeles, then come home and this, even though you win the series against a Royal, but it's a Royal team that's like 40 games under 500, even more than that. It's like, it's not really a big deal. So it's like, is this really something to celebrate? So that's sort of the mindset of the frame, almost like, critiquing the team. And of course, right, this is right of the cups of the trade deadline. So people are thinking about the team, they're thinking about the trade deadline, worried about obviously Trevino's gone for the season, and that's just kind of the whole mind frame here. So I figured let's look at the weekend from the New York Yankees account, Twitter account. They put out a couple tweets right after that game and during that series there. So I kind of picked around some comments there, and I'll pick out the best ones, and of course I'll react to them. Some are funny, some are good, some of them are way off, but nevertheless I'll react to them. And as we've been doing this season, I'm going to use the stealthy technology of the tablet to do so. So we'll get it all started here. So the first one here we got, can you play like that every day? Well, that would be nice, if you could just win every day and be 162 and nothing, that'd be great. But you can't always play a team that's like 45 games under 500 all the time, so unfortunately that's not the case. Now this was actually the best one. I like this one. It was kind of a genius. So Boone whispers to Judge, make sure you schedule that off-season toe surgery for March 1st. Now the reason that's fun is that it's almost like a Frankie Montas situation where it's like you wait just before the season's about, just before spring training. Oh, I need surgery. So you can kind of see that happening to the Yankees, but I think Judge is smarter than that. I think once the season's over, he's gonna have this toe surgery like right away, so he could get right back. So that was kind of funny though. Now here's a good one. Star Insurance saved our season. World Series back on. Well, we mentioned this before. It's July 21st. That's when the Yankees debuted the Star insurance logo on the sleeve, which I kind of went as the last time and figured, hey, look, I don't like it, but it is what it is. And I think it's more if the team's winning, then you don't care. But the fact that they're kind of mediocre or not doing as well as you expect, then you see the Yankee uniform being desecrated and it pisses you off. But hey, look, so at least at that point, Star Insurance is 3-0. You can't complain. Okay, congrats, you beat the worst team in baseball. Well, yes, of course, we mentioned that. Yes, we swept a crappy team as we should. Well, yeah, of course. Now here's one I'm going to critique a little bit. I think he's way off. So a few observations. The Yankees swept KC, but they still struggled. Sevy can't be trusted. Marinaccio needs to go goodbye. Our bullpen has become a liability once again. Herman should be also thrown out. He has one good game and to 5 clunkers. I'm going to dissect that one a little bit. Yes, you beat a struggling KC. You beat the KC team, even though it seemed like you struggled a little bit. I don't say struggle. The last 2 games were quite convincing for the Yankees. More that, but they had, as usual in the first game, had to rely on the home runs. So if they didn't hit home runs in that Friday night game, it was 3 home runs. Again, it was one by Franchi Cordero, one by McKinney, and one by Gleyber Torres. Maybe they probably lose that game 3-0. So I could see a point there. But the Yankee offense was, kind of a wide variety of type. There was some hitting, there was some good clutch hitting, there was some good base running and taking advantage of some Royal errors in the field there. So, there was more variety to the offense. So I don't want to put it that one right there. Marinaccio needs to go goodbye. All right, yes, he's been bit by the home run bug a little bit, but I think that's just inconsistency of the work. Just the fact that the Yankees really haven't been themselves where you kind of have your bullpen guys lined up. Usually when you're winning, you're ahead. All right, this is Wandy, King, Holmes night. All right, the next game. All right, this is a Marinaccio, Wandy, and when you use King to close tonight, you have guys set up. But the way this Yankee team has been struggling and losing a lot of games lately, I just think Boone's throwing guys all different, all this kind of out of whack when they're going. So I think it's more of that than really Marinaccio's performance. When the Yankees were going good a little early in the season, Marinaccio was fine, getting a lot of big strikeouts and big spots and performing well. I just think the whole team's in flux. That these bullpen guys are getting called at different innings, and I think it's more that than anything that's causing him to give up the home run bugs. And Sevy can't be trusted. I know he had a little bit of bad stretch here, but he had no problem pitching well during the last postseason for the Yankees last season. Again, pitched well, win that Game 3 against Cleveland. They should have won the game, but the Yankees, again, the bullpen blew that. Sevy pitched well, and of course we've seen Sevy on the road in Minnesota. Again, win a crucial game there on the road and be clutch. So I think Sevy can be trusted in a big spot, even though, yes, he did struggle a little bit this season, and it seems like he did turn himself around. And then, of course, here's one here. Can we just play KC for the rest of the season? Yes, I would love to play Kansas City for the rest of the season. Again, the Yankees would be in first place with no problem. But unfortunately, there are some other good teams in this league. Don't worry, I got more tweets coming, but I just want to remind you once again, if you haven't done so, make sure you subscribe to the audio version podcast of the show. So I want to build up that audience. So wherever you get your favorite podcast, look for Section 420 Talkin Yankees. Subscribe, get a lot of cool stuff, get wrap-ups of it after every series, and other cool little tidbits and whatnots and extracurricular stuff that you can't get anywhere else. So again, wherever you get your favorite podcast, Section 420 Talkin Yankees, subscribe. Now back to our lovely tweets. Now, this is like in regards to the hype video they put out. Bro, you don't do this after sweeping the Royals. This franchise is so embarrassing right now. I'd put that. You don't puff your chest out about sweeping the Kansas City Royals. I gotta give them. Forget the Yankees. I'm dying to see another Star Insurance commercial. Guess they're running the promos there, so. But hey, 3-0 with Star Insurance. I'll take that. Big cap, little letters. Trade for Bellinger. I'm all down with that. If they could bring Cody Bellinger in there, great for the Yankees. Bellinger has to be a Yankee, please. Another person that wants him in. Hype video after sweeping the Royals. Nice, with a face palm emoji. Now deliver us Cody Belly. Cody Belly, I guess that's his nickname. Who are you kidding? It's the revenue you care about. Well, Yankee fans did a good job there, man. After that miserable road trip, I figured no one would want to show up to these games, but actually did good Friday night. Now they did bribe fans with the Nestor Cortez bobblehead doll. But the other two games, again, 3 good crowds against a terrible Royals team, and for a Yankee team that's not doing well. But it's summer, it's New York, it's the Yankee Stadium, so you would figure it would be packed. But nevertheless, good job by the Yankee fans. Celebrating 3 wins against the Royals is what you do when you can't celebrate a championship. Please, #fire Cashman. Well, got a good point there. Pump-up videos from a last-place team in July. $280 million payroll and a franchise worth $7 billion. All is not right in Yankee land. Yes, you're a team. You're a $280 million payroll team beating like a pathetic $50 million payroll team. Is probably less. Yeah, again, you don't send out a video after you sweep them. You kind of have to sweep them there. Wow, they beat a basement team. Break out the champagne. What a joke. Little pessimistic, little angry, trollish Yankee fans on that one. Due to the recent developments, the Yankees celebrate a sweep of the lowly Royals as if they won the World Series. Again, a lot of fans did not like this video. World Series back on, great. Who sponsored the sweep in the previous series? And that's when the Yankees got swept out in Los Angeles there. Yankee propaganda at best, sweeping a team with a minor league pitching. Really bragging about sweeping the Royals? Clown show. People did not like this video. Celebrating 4th place? Cool. Trade for Snell and Bellinger. Now, Blake Snell, that would be kind of interesting there. He does have experience in the AL East there, but I just don't think the Yankees are going to, again, he's going to probably cause some major prospects because he's a major top-line starter. Don't see it happen yet, but could see Bellinger possibly. Casey is a genius I've ever seen. And as I guess do it with Anthony Rizzo going 4 for 4 there, you want to give him the respect in that. Even in victory, the Yankees look bad and uninspiring, giving up home runs like it's going out of stock. Well, again, the Yankees have been bit by the home run bug a little bit, mainly Severino, even though overall he's been better. And, of course, we mentioned with Marinaccio, and, of course, we have one setup right here for Marinaccio. Marinaccio needs to be sent down. Home run machine. Again, he's been giving up a lot of home runs, but I just think it's the inconsistency of his work and when they're putting him in the games more than anything else. We still want Boone and Cashman gone. Okay, well, I can see you blaming Cashman for this. These are his players. Does Boone make? I don't see a Boone. Let's just say Don Madden was managed his team. Would the Yankees be any better, more or less? Probably not. Maybe just a couple of games at most. So I would blame Cashman more than Boone on that one. Let's see what we got here. God will remember the 2023 Yankees. Yes. Kind of sarcastically, but this will be one of the most memorable teams ever, but probably not. Send Marinaccio down, please. Needs to get better. Again, I don't think him going down there is going to do anything. I just think, it's just the inconsistency of work. You can send him down there and you could get some AAA guys out. Hey, he's better. Bring him back up. I just don't think it's worth all the back and forth for that. So that's it for the episode. So, we're going to be right at the trade deadline here. So you're probably going to see some new faces coming to the Yankee organization. Who that's going to be, again, it's a little up in the air. But, again, with Trevino out for the season, the catcher, probably see a move there and probably see someone in left field there. So we'll see who they bring back. And, of course, now Andy Pettitte sort of rejoining the Yankees as an advisor. Bring some of his, postseason mojo to kind of sprinkle on this team and get him help him get into the postseason. I don't know. It's just not going to help any, but again, I like to see Pettitte back with that. So we'll just see how this team's going to be. And again, Yankees right now looking like going to be buyers more than sellers, but are they going to bring anywhere? They're going to turn the whole thing around? That remains to be seen.